we're back with the next chapter of Left 4 Dead 3. This point of view is from Nick. I can't remember if we're going to do Josh next week, but I guess we'll find out at the end of the video, so let's get into it. Sorry, I didn't mean to, like, hit you, touch you, whatever I did to you. You scare me. Weirdo. When I saw Francis and his daughter Zoe on the bridge, I was kind of pissed. Francis immediately began catcalling Rochelle, and she rolled her eyes. At least she wasn't interested. Coach yelled up for him to shut his mouth, and I was asked if they could lower the bridge. Zoe answered, and I was surprised nobody was going to show their names. Are we just not going to? Fine by me. When Francis commented on Rochelle's use for repopulating the earth, I muttered, no, the greasy vest-wearing monkey. Josh heard me, and he raised an eyebrow. I raised one and glared at him, and he looked away. We had to find fuel for a generator. What generator? It was on the other side. We could barely see it on the other side, despite a bright-ass light being there. Repetition there. I followed everyone through the town as we searched for gas, splitting into two groups. Unfortunately, Josh was with Rochelle and me. Personally, she should have gone with a coach, leaving Ellis with me and Josh. She was looking through the kitchen. Josh should have wandered off down the road, trying to find gas. I watched for signs of him and/or zombies. I finally turned to see Rochelle. She was looking for expiration dates on the food she managed to find. She was beautiful. I could picture her and I in a house together, with kids and maybe a dog. Hell, even a cat, if she's into cats. I'm not. She would probably be a good cook, and she'd plan fun things to do as a family. She'd give good life advice to me and the kids. Our kids would be beautiful, and they'd learn to be perfect with a role model like her. She looked over at me for a moment, smiling before turning back to what she was doing. I think she might have even been blushing. I looked back down the road, trying not to smile. I really liked her. It was bad. I liked Rochelle more than I had liked Kayla, even when I'd been in love with her. Man, Matthew was right. I found a woman I had a connection with, and I think she might have felt it too. Finally, Josh hollered for us, saying he found some gas. We met up with him, Rochelle not having found any decent amount of food. We carried the canisters back, and Josh complained about how heavy they were. I rolled my eyes, and he added that he lifts weights, and they're much heavier than the gas canister he was carrying. I would hope so. I used to lift, but then there was no time to go to the gym. Maybe the apocalypse would help. I'd keep the few abs I had and maybe get bigger muscles. We make it back to the generator, filling it with the gas we had and waiting for the others to return. When they do, we still need more gas. I sighed, wishing things were easier. Why couldn't they just lower it from up there or something? We went on a hut for more gas, and Ella stood next to me. He wanted to marry Zoe and go cross-country. That was funny. I told him not to get his hopes up, and he said she felt the same way. Last I knew, she was dating a kid named Hunter. I don't know if they broke up. Not like they really could in this situation. I teased Ellis about Francis having stolen the race car, and Rochelle came outside at that moment. She was carrying a gas canister, and I took it from her, taking it over to the generator and flying it the rest of the way. So we're going to ignore the fact that she had to get on you for teasing Ellis like that. If I wanted her to love me, I had to treat her like I was a gentleman. She appreciated the gesture, and we finally yelled up to Francis that we were ready to leave. His mom found us, telling us he'd be down in a second. Eventually, he and Zoe appeared, along with a well-dressed black man. Oh my god, Lewis! Rochelle hugged the guard, and they both looked relieved to see the other. Zoe did actually seem to like Ellis, and I doubted it would last long between the two of them. She'd grow tired of him talking at one point, or she'd go deaf. It was gloomy outside, so we were invited to spend the night in this stupid house. I looked around, seeing the paintings on the wall weren't very cute. Okay, buddy, you don't live there. Why are you judging? This place was so bland, and there wasn't much we could do for it. Francis and Zoe did a tour, telling us where we would sleep and where we could find things. They would be upstairs like they always were, and there was a lot of supplies up there. Downstairs was enough stuff to have something to drink and maybe a snack. Either way, we were upstairs for dinner, and everyone ate to their heart's content. It was nice eating normally again, and I wondered where they had found all their food, unless they were the ones who raided the town. No, who would have thought? After dinner and some small talk, we separated, heading to our rooms. Rochelle looked pretty in the moonlight, and she looked like she was thinking about something. Eventually, she told me what she was thinking about. Repetition there, that's what that is. I wanted to tell her everything too, about my parents, Kayla, and everything. My gambling addiction, how drunk I got that one night. I wanted to be vulnerable with her, but I couldn't bring myself to add anything sentimental to the conversation. Yeah, go Nick. Besides, I could be weaker though. She wanted me to be strong. To tell her she was wrong and that things were okay, I had to be the hero, not the one needing saving. I kissed her and she kissed me back. I wanted to go further, but I didn't know how she'd feel about that. When we pulled away, she told me she loved me. I looked away out the window and into the night. I loved her too, but I wouldn't let that get in the way of things. Finally, I told her the truth. I love you too, but Josh was a problem. She thought she was leading him on, but she wasn't. How could she? She rarely even talks to him, so it doesn't make any sense. She scoots closer, kissing me again. My skin felt like it was on fire, and I wanted her. Okay, I don't really want to read this, but it, adds to the understanding, so... She began unbuttoning my shirt, and I took that as my sign. I've had many one-night stands, so I'm pretty fast at undressing women, but with her I wanted it to be real, not something I wanted to do because it had been a while. I wanted her to know this is love. I undressed her faster than she did me, and we were both scared. Did we really want to do this? She was naked, and I was hesitant to actually do this. I eventually gave in, being careful. skipping that. After some time, we stopped and set opting to cuddle. I hope she didn't get pregnant. I didn't want a repeat of Kayla. Also, the apocalypse won't exactly be healthy for a pregnant woman. Oh. For a moment, we were quiet, and I took the time to calculate when the baby would be born if she were to have gotten pregnant. About July. It was November, the very beginning of the month. I sighed happily before telling her about the connection I feel with her. She admits that she feels it too, which makes me happy. She loves me the same way I love her. Maybe we will work out in the end. Josh could walk off the face of the earth for all I care. I wasn't worried about him anymore. Rochelle had zero interest in him, and I almost felt bad for the poor kid. We finally got up to get dressed, and we laid back down together, cuddling as we fell asleep. That night, I had dreams of Rochelle. I saw us together, getting married. She was beautiful. Our kids would be beautiful, too. In the morning, I'd see Cheese in the bed next to me. I'm surprised, but I can't blame her for not saying. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, and Josh appeared in front of me. So? He asked, raising an eyebrow and folding his arms. So? Did you two have sex? I rubbed my eyes. There's a thing called privacy? Okay, did you fuck her? Dude, stop. What? Josh protests. I want to know. Why? So I know if I even have a chance. I blink at him. What is wrong with this kid? Look, dude, it's really none of your business what did or didn't happen last night. I climb out of bed, starting on my shoes and stretching as I stand up. She's my girlfriend, Josh exclaimed suddenly, and I raised an eyebrow. Oh, that's funny, because your boyfriend broke up with her before the apocalypse, and he was definitely not named Josh. Josh was putting out, begging for me to let him have her because I'm old. Finally, I snapped. Look, just leave. If she wants you, you can have her. I'm not going to reject her just because you're jealous. Josh storms out of the room, slamming the door and probably crying. I felt kind of bad, but I would stand my ground. I shook my head, running my fingers through my hair, walking at my reflection in the mirror before I went out to the hallway. Ellis stood there. Shit. Sorry, kid. He shook his head, admitting to me that he preferred Rochelle and me over Rochelle and his brother. I didn't understand why Josh saw this as a game or something. She was a human. She couldn't be owned or anything. She had her own thoughts, feelings, and opinions. I joined the other survivors with Ellis, and we headed outside into the gray world. Even the sun was hiding. How relevant. We prepared to fight zombies. The bridge coming down would make a fuck ton of noise. I glanced around, spotting an open room by the generator. Okay. I wander into it and see a human body slumped over. Oh shit, did they lose someone? I didn't want to ask. It would probably open fresh wounds. This man hadn't been dead long. How? Maybe a few weeks, maybe even less. He had a cigarette in his mouth and his jacket right over the back. Oh shit, this was Francis's dad. Damn, he was a good guy. Why him? I went out to the others, and the bridge was on its way down. We killed off the horde of zombies before Josh bolted across the bridge. Maybe he was trying to kill himself. That would be much appreciated by me. Maybe everyone. Coach asked if the others wants to join us, but they say no. They're better off on their own, which is understandable. They probably are, especially since we have Ellis and Josh. I waved to Francis. Stay safe, brother. You too, man. He waves back, and I get in the car, sitting beside Rochelle. Ellis drove, and we waved to the others while we passed by, leaving them in the dust on our way to New Orleans. Ellis was telling stories from his childhood about a guy named Keith. Some of them had Josh in them, a few had a guy named Dave. I wonder what Ellis was like as a kid. He seemed to have so many adventurous stories. I wished I had a good childhood like that, where I could come home late at night and my mom wondered where I had been. Instead, I would often come home late to a locked door. Then just for the extra thought, I'd be letting to be beat with a belt. I hate knowing Mom didn't want it to happen, but she's still guilty because she didn't stop him. My parents had never left me, so I would go out of my way to try to get their attention. I fought in school. I got suspended, thousands of detentions. Dad brought up the school to keep me there since it was close to home and I could walk. We had money. He liked to pretend we didn't. He bought me a car for my 18th birthday, and I drove out of there faster than they could blink. I took my wallet and keys, not bothering to pack anything for my voyage across the country. I had saved money since my 16th birthday. I had to leave that place, and I did. Now, sitting in the car and hearing about everyone else's childhood experiences and good parents, I felt a little jealous that I didn't experience that. Rochelle squeezed my hand and I smiled, looking out the window. I had already decided that she would be okay if she was pregnant, though it was unlikely. Josh sometimes added to her story Ellis was telling, and everyone dozed on and off until Ellis eventually pulled off the road for sleep. We rested, and I looked down at Rochelle. She was asleep, and she looked kind of uncomfortable. I loved her, but I couldn't let Josh know we decided we wanted to be with each other that night. I lay my head in hers and fall asleep, too. If we had kids, no, when we had kids, I wouldn't raise them the way I was raised. I would be better than that. I'd be the best dad in the entire world. That is debatable, but, so, fun fact, Josh doesn't get to make a personal appearance. Next week is going to be Zoe again, but that's it for this week. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.